Welcome to
The
our
right lefties.
debate breakdown.
We're gonna give you a quick run up of our winners and losers. I'll start. I think for sure, man. Bernie killed it. I'm pretty sure he had the most talk time, which is really good.
Yeah, he had the most talk time out of all the candidates.
But aside from that, he went ham on the other fucking candidates. He definitely, for the first time, I feel like he finally went aggressive. Called out Buttigieg, called out Biden. He was even calling out the moderators. Told them that the question they were asking him was like a terrible question when it came to, they asked about relocating people.
About climate change.
When it came to like in the future when climate change starts, let's say when places become uninhabitable because of climate change. And he was more like, with all due respect, that's the question that's not the question you should be asking.
Yeah.
It's more like, what are we gonna do now? Instead of, why are we worrying about the future when we can do something now? But aside from that, man, I think he murdered it when he fucking brought out. He hit 2 for 1. He went, Biden and Buttigieg have a competition going on who can get the most billionaires to vote for them, to donate to them.
Moment,
and then on top of that, you hit him with the Biden's in the lead with 44 and Pete is right behind him with 39.
Yeah.
And right there, I was like, he boy just
yeah, the blowtorch
brought out the sniper on them.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I think the other winner, I don't even know, man.
Just give one winner and then just give one loser. Who's the loser? The biggest loser.
The biggest loser. I feel like people are gonna disagree, but Klobuchar, man. To me, she didn't like. Klobuchar didn't come out with any substantive stuff. All I noticed that she was doing was kept like the one really good judge said, or when I was on Trevor Noah. What was the other one? In the words of Martin Luther King, I think she said, which, like, every time she spoke, she had to bring up quote somebody else.
Yeah.
Almost every time. At one point, she even quoted 2 people in one of her, when she was talking. And, aside from that, she just kept on drilling that stupid ass point of we need to unite and, I'm from the Midwest, so I can help out the Midwest. Like, now she's trying to, Iowa and all those states. She's trying to pander to them, and she was just drilling that the Midwest. It's not flyover country for me, is what she said at one point.
Yeah.
I live there. No, you live in Minnesota. That's at the top. Like, that's not the real really Midwest.
Yeah.
So she was like on that, on that Kamala Harris tip where she was just trying to get that viral moment. And
yeah, I agree.
I feel like that trying so hard to get
almost hacky.
She tries to get these moments where they're quotable. She wants stuff that's quotable, or
like
the first women president. She tries to get to rile up the crowd with that stuff, but she never really went into
a lot of one-liners.
She never went into substantive things about her actual campaign.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's not gonna, that debate didn't help her. I don't think it hurt her that much either, but now that it's narrowing down, she's definitely not doing anything to separate from the pack.
Yeah, so I'll give you my my winner, my biggest, whoever to me won the debate, and then I'll give you my biggest loser. So yeah, I do agree with you that Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, won the debate. Just because on top of that, he talked most of the time. I also like the fact that, like you mentioned, he went hamon on Biden. He went hamon on Pete, and something that got, I don't know, the moderators did kind of talk a little bit about this during one of the breaks, where they were just trying to say that Sanders and Warren, they were distinguishing themselves when it came to the healthcare plan, right? So that is something that you did see here, that even though he didn't really directly attack Warren, he did made himself, kind of, and not only that, but also Warren did that. where they're like, okay, so these are like how we distinguished ourselves from these like specific plans, and Medicare for All was that specific plan that they were talking about. So I think he did have a very strong night tonight. He destroyed Pete with that when you mentioned he's competing for something, and then Pete just does it like and he just took it.
What was there like?
All right, Pete drinking water. And then the biggest loser I actually think was Pete. I think he was the biggest loser just because even at one point Amy Klobuchar attacked him, and she got him, and they had a little like a back and forth, right? But then I feel like Amy Klobuchar, despite being her, where the centrist moderate that she is, she got the better half, or she got the better fight
Out of that exchange.
Out of that exchange, yes. So, and the exchange was, she was referring to, I guess, during one of the breaks, he said something about, oh, we have all this experience here, and it's gotten us nowhere. So then she kind of like brought it up back in one of the questions that was mentioned, and then they were started going back and forth on that. So I actually think he was the biggest loser. He even took shots from Warren. Him and Warren were at it, which, in my opinion, of course, Warren, who has the most substance, policies, took the better shots at him than he did, and he did try going. She did go after his corruption, because that's, in my opinion, that's what it is when you're taking, having all of these private fundraisers with these the wealthy. That's just corruption, in my opinion. And she did hit him on that, and that was a very, in my opinion, those were one of the highlight moments of the entire debates, when Warren went after Pete, and Pete pretty much was trying to defend his stance on it, which there's really no defense, in my opinion.
So when they went after him about all the billionaires and getting all those monies, and him being in the wine cave,
Yes.
His defense was like, "Oh, if you want to donate to me, I'll take it because you're with me in this fight," which that's really not what he really is about. He's really just more about getting the most money.
And then also, when asked, for example, this is just one of the questions that they asked on education, he mentioned the whole, his typical fucking bullshit ass talking point that he comes up with, like, oh, I don't want to have the rich kids give them like public or free college, which is stupid. Just, if you think about it, if I'm rich, why the fuck am I gonna go to public education or a public college? I can just pay. If I'm rich, I have the money to afford education, I'm just gonna go and pay a private school to do that. Yeah, Bernie Sanders is giving rich kids the option to go, but it doesn't mean that they have to go. It's not something that they're forced to do.
They're paying into it.
And that's another thing, too.
I don't care if you're rich. You're paying into it.
Yeah, you're paying taxes. Paying into it. Yeah, exactly.
They should be allowed to, even if they want to go to private school. Yeah, exactly. If they want to go to private school, that's on them. But, yeah, that stupid talking point about we're going to be paying for the rich is
and not only that,
divide and conquer tactic.
Not only that, one of the moderators asked that had that right-wing perspective to that question. She was the one that brought it up, which, when she said that, I'm like, yo, you're framing it at a from a right-wing perspective, which is terrible. The framing was just off. But yeah, so I think he did the worst. Even Biden had some good moments. I'm gonna be honest with you. He definitely, like you mentioned throughout the debate, you said that this was one of Biden's strongest debates.
It was his strongest performance, especially because, and it's not. I don't want to oversell it, but
no,
for Biden's standards, let me say that he was definitely his strongest performance in the sense that he was very coherent, and he didn't have those moments where he cuts himself off. Yeah. I think there was one question that he didn't answer the question at all, that they asked him about Guantanamo, and then he ended up talking about
Israel,
and that, and it was two different things. But I mean, that I'll give him. In his defense, they were just talking about that subject before, so I'm assuming he just wanted to talk about that then.
Yeah.
When he got that opportunity to talk, but
he had no pushback though from the moderators.
his strongest performance considering how his other performances, but that's not to say that he did great.
Yeah.
And that he looked better than Sanders when it came to their actual policies, especially the healthcare.
Yeah, especially Sanders attacking him, with the whole Iraq war thing that they brought up again. Sanders told him that he voted for the Iraq war, and, he has no defense of that because he did. So,
Yeah, I think everyone else they did okay. Aside from Buttigieg was the one that really got destroyed, but everyone else, Yang, I think he did really good.
yeah, he had a solid performance.
Definitely spoke on UBI, which the last debate he didn't at all. So Andrew Yang, I think he did really good. He got to speak about the UBI and the freedom dividend. I think he did a really good job too, and talking about like how jobs are becoming, how AI is gonna take over. He brought that up. He did really good, I think, when he spoke about the minorities and like statistically they have it harder.
Yeah.
Even if you have like a college degree, I think it's 40% that you'll still have a job. You'll get a job that you don't need a college degree, and how black women die at higher rates when giving birth, stuff like that. Like he did go good when it came to that. I think Warren also went ham. She did good. She still didn't change my mind as far as like if she's any better on anything than Bernie.
Yeah.
I give her good though, her Wall Street thing, and I like the tax club idea too.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, the highlights of the night were just everybody punching back at Pete. Because in the last debates, and with the time within the last debates, he's been like so lucky that they haven't called him out. But that now that it's getting narrowing down, it's about time that they finally
focus on him,
and that's what happened.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. I think Yang had a solid performance. Warren, Warren does what Warren does. She always does good. She so far hasn't disappointed me in any of these debates. Even Yang, towards the end, threw shots at Pete. So yeah, Pete had a rough night. But look, I agree with what you're saying, that I feel like he does get let off the hook too much, right? And it's good that these people are attacking him and exposing him, to the public, to like who he really is. So, overall, I felt like the debate overall, the first half was kind of slow and boring, but then towards the second half, it was a lot better. And I did like the fact that they were focusing a little bit more on the issues, the policies. The moderators, I wasn't really. So there was two sets of moderators. There was the moderators that were asking the questions to the candidates, and then when they would go on break, they would have like
a panel.
They had like a panel with Ryan Lizza was one of the guys. That Amy Walker chick that you were mentioning, she was another.
Amy Walter.
Amy Walter. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'm not really a fan of those. I think that their commentary was not really, in my opinion, substance. I feel like these people, especially Ryan Lizza, because they always shitting on him. He's always trying to shit on Bernie Sanders. That guy. He's written op-eds and articles against Bernie Sanders. So I know that their perspective is like a moderate or centrist perspective.
Yeah, and I think the moderators, like the moderators, they didn't do that bad of a job as far as like I feel like they did give people an opportunity and they let the candidates jump in when they felt like they had to say something. I feel like most people got an equal opportunity to talk or at least to get talking time. And but the questions I think were kind of stupid. Some of them
There were some stupid questions.
One of the questions that they asked Bernie was like, "What would you do to help
stop
transgender
violence or something like that?"
Violence?" And it was like, why are they asking that just to him? I don't know how that is gonna do anything for him. Like as far as him being able to express what he's policy wise gonna do.
And he did a good question. He did a good job at answering that question too. It was like one of these super vague. Yeah, like you said, vague questions. Like, what the fuck?
Like, they were asking Pete Buttigieg with questions like that too. That it was like, what would you do in this situation? Which were like, it doesn't. I can't think of the question, but it was definitely questions that, um, you don't learn anything from the candidate of. You don't take anything away from them.
Yeah.
They didn't really answer. And another example of a dumbass question that they had was, if you could ask any of the other candidates for forgiveness, or would you give them a gift?
Yeah, man.
You know, it was supposed to be in the spirit of the holidays,
So dumb, man.
but
It's a waste of time.
it didn't. Like, once again, the candidates themselves did a better job of like parlaying that into a what they can talk about themselves, and you know, use the whole forgiveness thing, and I would love the gift of this and that.
Yeah.
But once again, like, that was just a waste of time. You could ask other questions instead
Yeah.
to better give the candidates an opportunity to express their policies and their campaign and try to win voters, instead of that forgiveness or gift.
Yeah, I agree. I
And
agree.
one last thing, the Amy Walter lady, like, and one of the breaks, she mentioned, she mentioned, they were talking about what do the voters are the voters looking for, issues or other things, and like as far as like values, instead of, you know, trying to get that type of stuff from the candidates. And she was saying that the voters are watching the debate looking for their values and stuff like that, as opposed, as she said, they're not looking for substantive stuff.
Yeah.
And that's clearly wrong. The main
That is
reason people
clearly wrong.
watch debates is to find out
Their policies.
and why you would vote for that person
Based on the policies.
Especially in a democratic debate, they all have the same kind of values, you know,
Yeah.
at a very basic level.
You know, everybody's for the LGBT community and minorities. You know, we all that's like a baseline. You know, you want to be a Democrat, they still have like the most basic things that you need to be. Now, where it gets into the more like nitty gritty is this policies. Like, what are your policies? And the fact that she said that goes to show you how out of touch she is. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
And yeah, then at the end, after the debate, these people were saying like that Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, they were portraying him in a negative way.
They were trying to portray because he doesn't want to give in.
Yeah,
right,
they're saying
because-
he's too maximalist or
Yeah,
maximalist.
maximalist. So they think that, like, I feel like that's a good thing, and they were trying to paint that in a bad light,
That
because
way, yeah.
we should have free Medicare, free college, not half-assed Medicare.
I
Not,
agree.
you know, that's why we cannot. That's why we cannot give in or bend to the corporations or to the oligarchies. We have to take as much as we can, man.
Pretty much.
And that's how they were painting him, and I disagree with that so much. And I just feel like they were, like you said, they're like on that moderate,
For sure.
centrist.
That's
fucking
what Ryan
ideology.
Liza is. That Amy Walter chick, I don't really know her too much, but Ryan Liza, I'm telling you, this guy, he writes op-eds and articles shitting on Bernie Sanders, and that's exactly what he came out. Well, he wasn't shitting on him, but he was definitely, like you said, portraying him in like a negative way. Like the way he answered some of the questions, he tried to make it seem like it was negative.
Yeah, like how Bernie he said that Bernie objected the question instead of answering it. He tried to make it seem like he didn't answer it,
Yeah.
when in fact he did answer the question, referring to when it was the climate change question. But he was actually telling them like, no, this is not the question you should be asking. We should be worrying about now, not the future.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes and says like, Bernie was objecting the question, like if he was disrespecting the moderator, or like
And not only that,
not answering the question at all.
Not only that, but at one point, one of the moderators, I was asking him a question. I asked him a question about the question was about the race and how that is, you know, how you can prevent from like voter suppression and like, you know, discrimination against minorities. And he was gonna answer the question using the previous question, which was about climate change, and how he was gonna integrate climate change and race together, because you know climate change is going to affect minorities, black, you know, African Americans and Hispanic people more, according to the, you know, the studies. So he's gonna mention all of this, and then she rudely interrupted him and said, "Can you please answer the question?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna answer the question. Just I want to integrate climate change into it because that was a previous question that they had asked, and he didn't get the chance to talk then. So, I think that these people are just like, when it comes to Bernie Sanders, like, on the trigger, like seeing if he like slips up or anything, just trying to like go on, go all out on him. But overall, he did a really good performance. I love the fact that he went hamon on Pete. On Pete Buttigieg, he took a blowtorch and just lit his face up with it. So I love seeing Bernie Sanders on the aggressive. This is how he's gonna end up winning, bro. But pretty much, yeah. Overall, the debate was all right. I liked it, especially those moments. And yeah, if you want, we can end it here.
Yeah.